welcome back to my channel. This month is Juvenile Arthritis Awareness Month, so I thought I would do a video with a few tips for juvenile arthritis. This is mainly going to be aimed at parents of children with juvenile arthritis, as I feel like they're the people who I have the most tips for. So I hope this is helpful. This is what we've learnt along the way. If you don't know who I am, hello, I'm Jess. I have had juvenile arthritis since I was 16 months old. I am now 19. So I've learned a lot from it. My parents have learnt a lot, and a lot of these are going to be advice that I have learned from my parents. Tip 1 is for medications. Medications can be very difficult, especially if your child is younger. However, we have learnt a few things along the way. Injections are always going to be difficult, but a few things that we found helped was that there is something that I think the hospital provided it for us, but you can buy one. It's called a Buzzy Bee. I will put it on the screen here for you. And it basically, it's like an ice pack. The wings are an ice pack, and then the bee it buzzes, so you hold it on the area you are going to inject, and it sort of numbs the area without using any medication, which is a really great option if you don't want to use numbing cream. I think you can get numbing cream for it, especially if your kids are younger, but that's a really great option if you don't want to use that. Something that really helps with injections is having a treat, and it was probably the only thing that made me willing to have my injections. So every week when it was injection time, I would have a little treat, which would usually be sweets. So the little packets of Haribos are great. That's my recommendation, the little packets of Haribos. Because you can have one while you're having the injection to chew, which really helps, and you've still got some left for afterwards. So if you're struggling to get your child to have injections or take medication, bribery with sweets is always the way to go. Another tip with medication is for oral tablets. Some can be crushed. You have to be careful with which ones can be crushed, but the ones that they tend to have for kids can be crushed. If not, then they're a liquid. I didn't often have any liquids that tasted horrible. I usually had ibuprofen and paracetamol, which generally tasted okay. But you can get, particularly methotrexate. I believe methotrexate liquid tastes pretty disgusting. I've never had it, but from what I hear, it is pretty gross. And I agree with that because the tablets are really gross as well. But the thing is with methotrexate tablets, the ones that we had, they could be crushed. So Mum would crush them up, stir them into yogurt. If your child is too good at spotting that there's yellow bits in their yogurt, put some rainbow sprinkles in. Just makes it look like part of the sprinkles, and you've perfectly disguised the crushed up methotrexate in a yogurt. You could also probably do this with other foods like ice cream and stuff. It's just that we generally used yogurt. Another tip for medication is, particularly if your child is going in between the stage of they are old enough to maybe start taking tablets like by themselves without having them to be crushed up in a yogurt, is putting them on a spoon with jam, because it's really easy to swallow jam. So you would have it and it's just like, it just slides right down. I think this would probably also work with jelly. Is that you just put a few on the spoon and then they have it and it slides right down. So that's sort of the in-between stage of having it with a drink. Another tip is take ibuprofen or whatever non-steroidal anti-inflammatory your child is having with you everywhere, as well as paracetamol. Take paracetamol with you everywhere, because that can definitely help. I feel like I've sort of covered medication side of things. So tip 2 is dependent on your child's age. Mobility aids are very, very helpful for reducing pain. So I do recommend them. It can be kind of difficult to see your child using mobility aids, which I fully get. But if your child is very young, you can have them use their pram more often, or buggy, whatever you want to call it, stroller if you're American. Have them use it for a bit longer than you would sort of normally. But having things like crutches and wheelchairs, stuff like that is really helpful because it can reduce pain by a lot. So I definitely recommend that. There's also, when you go out places, generally you can hire a wheelchair. So if you go out for a big day, say you've gone to like a theme park or something, you can generally like hire a wheelchair for a day, and then they can use the wheelchair and still have fun on the rides without being in massive amounts of pain, ruining their day. Tip 3 is incorporate play into physio exercises. Physio exercises are no fun, let's be honest. So if you can find a way to incorporate play with that, it definitely helps. Maybe do it with music on, or you can have them do certain things while playing a game with you. Like, I don't know, maybe like a game of Mario Kart if you have like a Nintendo Switch, or like a card game. A lot of the things I had to do were leg exercises because that's where my joints are mainly affected. I would have to do things like circling my ankles and stretching with a band. It was all very boring and painful and I hated doing it, but I did it anyway. It would take encouragement to get me to do it. So if you incorporate play with that, it definitely helps. Tip number 4 is, if your child is getting stiff legs in the morning, they're getting like stiff knees, stiff ankles, get one of those exercise balls, you know, like the ones that you sit on, that I'm pretty sure you're supposed to balance on them. Like, you're supposed to sit cross-legged and balance on them. I never used it for that. But if you have it so that your child sits on that in the morning and they have their feet on the floor, and then bouncing up and down on that and then rolling back and forth, try to get them to imagine that their feet are glued to the floor, and while they are sat on the exercise ball, they sort of roll backwards and forwards a bit, because this helps to sort of stretch the ankle and the tendon a little bit, and gets the movement going and sort of helps with the morning stiffness, I always found. 5th and final tip, because I'm just going to do 5 tips in this video, is find your child comfortable shoes, especially if they struggle with arthritis in their feet and their legs. Get some comfortable shoes. You can also ask for a referral to orthotics, where they will specialize in insole specifically for your child. They will have your child like compress their foot into some weird like foam stuff. Fun experience though. I know I enjoyed it. It feels really weird, but I always enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed having insoles made. It's like squishy, it looks like squishy sand almost. It's like foam sand stuff. And then that creates a mold, and they'll make an insole based on that should help with your child's walking and keep their foot in a bit more of a stable position. So getting wide shoes, and I'm talking like wide that way, and deep shoes as well, so that they have enough room to get the insole in and then get their foot in. That's what I always struggled with, is that yes, the insole would go in it, but then I couldn't get my foot in because the shoe wasn't deep enough, or I couldn't get the insole in because it wasn't wide enough. So if you're going shoe shopping, take those with you if you have them. If not, Skechers are a great brand of shoe, I think. I found those very comfortable as a child, so they're my recommendations for that. And I don't think I have any more tips, so if anybody does have any tips and they'd like to share them in the comments, please do, and maybe if I get enough of those comments I will make a part 2 based on your suggestions. But these are the tips that I have from my experience and my mum and dad's experience, so I hope that they are helpful. I hope everybody has a good Juvenile Arthritis Awareness Month. Let me know if you are doing anything specifically for it, because I'm always very interested to see what fundraisers people come up with. So yeah, let me know, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Oh, hello! Cat! Cat! Hi! Hi! Hello! Do you want to be in the video? You want to be in the video? Look who's come to join the video! This is Nova. She does not like to be held. Do you not want to be in the video? I'll take that as a no. You can sit on my bed instead.